Well, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he won't pass the buck onto taxpayers in his battle with Disney. DeSantis says the state could take over the Reedy Creek Improvement District without passing those costs on. Florida's Chief Financial Officer, Jimmy Patronis, joining me now with details. Great to see you again, Jimmy. Thanks for being here. So what's the deal here? I mean, I know that that DeSantis signed the bill dissolving the company's private government last month. How can Florida taxpayers avoid getting a bill for that?
So right now, as it stands, the district is still intact. It's my feelings, as is the feelings I'm sure that the governor's offices feel, that these debts were applied for by Disney. Disney's name and the Reedy Creek Improvement District is on the bottom of those mortgage obligation notes, call them what they are, and they should be the ones paying those at the end of the day.
So is Disney, I mean, I'm sure they're not okay with this. I'm sure they would like to get around paying for that. What are they saying now, and how are they coming back with what you're saying?
Sure. So there's definitely anxiety amongst the bond market on what's going to happen to Disney's credit rating. What does this do to Florida's credit rating if this is shifted? But At the end of the day, the way the language was passed, the way it was signed into law, Disney and Reedy Creek, this relationship still exists until next year. I do not see anywhere that this is going to change, as Disney is going to be obligated for that debt. The legislature is going to meet again at least 2 more times between now and that 2023 deadline, where any of this could be manipulated to ensure Disney still pays the debts they originally applied for.
Well, are they suing the state of Florida in any way?
So you've got lawsuits that individuals have brought up in federal court, one of which I know of has already been thrown out. But this is all part of the political theater trying to attack a very popular governor right now by Democratic activists in a political cycle. You know, so I mean, I think Governor DeSantis has been fighting the fight. And look, elections have consequences. If people don't like the decisions that the legislature, the governor, or for that matter, myself have made, the election in November is your opportunity to step up.
Now they've invested decades and decades of work into building up Disney World. Is there any chance that they would move out?
No. So I mean, here's where I feel like Disney right now, they're on probation. You know what, if they color outside the lines, then there'll probably be more questions of what can be done to ensure that they are still the type of partner that they were when that legislation was originally crafted, you know, back in the 60s. So again, the Florida legislature is a living, breathing organization with term limits, and they meet once a year, and they are a citizen-run legislature. All these individuals that make up the Florida legislature, they're school teachers, they're engineers, they're former law enforcement, they're retired judges. So again, it's a good hodgepodge and a mix of a cross-reference of what Florida's made up of that meets every year that made this decision. So again, I think, you know, Disney has got some expectations. The Florida legislature has got some expectations, and we'll see how that unfolds over the next year.
Okay, but just one more question on this. You say they got to get back in the fold or toe the line or wherever you want to put it. Does that mean that you expect them to change their views on recently passed legislation in Florida?
I don't know if that'll change their views, but it'll definitely probably tone their rhetoric down. I do not think you'll see Disney being outspoken on anything that's a politically charged issue, simply because the place where they have their single largest investment, the state of Florida, has gotten, you know, in an adverse position with them. And look, I mean, Governor DeSantis has really the single largest bully pulpit right now in the United States. You know, and he's definitely stepping up to what he is hearing from the voters of the state of Florida have voiced concerns over.
All right, Jimmy, I want to switch gears to the Florida Surgeon General sending a letter to the FDA asking for transparency on the baby formula shortage. What's the latest on that? You know that the Biden administration is blaming the companies who make the formula for the problems, but other people say different things about it. What do you say?
So, Neil, David, I love how you and Neil both keep the Americans engaged. This is a perfect example. I mean, this right here is nothing more than the Biden administration not caring about American babies, plain and simple. It's quick and easy to send $40 billion over to Ukraine, which is a number that no American household can even understand the magnitude of. But when it comes to babies, I'm a dad, my wife and I have 2 little boys, the most stressful times in our entire lives when those little guys were infants. So, you know, I can't imagine what a single mom or a single dad are going through right now. Lord, I've got an employee with a 10-month-old baby had to drive from Tallahassee to Jacksonville just to go to Costco to get baby formula. This is just not acceptable.
Yeah, it is not acceptable. Jimmy Patronis, good to see you, Jimmy. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.